Ladies, gentlemen, and young ladies, good evening, everyone. Be still once welcome in this new dedicated geopolitical conference to international news. In the news, so world news, India has just inflicted a kind of humiliation in Washington. India and Russia are put in a demonstration of direct defiance of the United States of America. Because we know it all, India is part of the BRICS, but India really had really good ones, relations with the United States of America. But just recently, America, by his ambition to want to impose his dominion over all the states of the world, had taken very severe sanctions against India, including customs sanctions, in any case, a lot of sanctions. And the fundamental reason for these sanctions, that was why India continues to pay for oil with Russia, while they are Americans and Western countries have sanctioned Russia. So India should not pay oil with Russia. India had been very clear that his trade with Russia relies on standards, legal and international trade, that these commercial relations with Russia did not hinder the law in any way. International, and that India was a sovereign country capable of establishing business relations with any water country. So it hurt Washington, which has also redoubled its sanctions on India. For Donald Trump, by doing so, India will be giving up its ambition, or that's his attitude, of continue to buy oil with Russia and join the bloc Western, therefore the Washington bloc. But against all odds, India did not withdraw from Russia. On the contrary, this is what India comes from demonstrate in collaboration, in synergy of action with Russia. India therefore decided to do what? That is to say, to leave aside the relationship commercial cooperation. That's already stalled. But India decided to put in holds a joint military exercise. And this joint military exercise, I believe who is called Indra 2025, is taking place at the time when I am talking to you, with the aim of creating a interoperability between the different military units of both countries, create some coordination of military activities of both countries. So this is another threshold, another very high threshold of the unit of brotherhood and cooperation between these two states. And so young ladies and gentlemen, in the context of this geopolitical conference, of course, of this news that we are going to speak. But as usual, before continue, agree to distribute this conference around you in the sharing and leaving all the ingredients needed to give more visibility and safety at the conference. So let's go to the depths. And so it must be said that the context is very clear. These are sanctions too many, which push India to go to Russia. It is necessary to remember that the United States, as it was said that they had recently sanctioned several Indian entities because of their package of sanctions, which we had in talk about it later. So several entities have been sanctioned for having bought Russian oil in rubles and rupees, thus bypassing the dollar. So the fact that they controlled the dollar and paid in rubles or rupees, and the fact even though they violate the sanctions on Russia, this obviously hurts Washington. So it's a measure that has been lived to New Delhi as a direct attack on economic sovereignty. Sanctions that have been taken against Indian companies by the United States of America. These sanctions were considered as a direct attack on American sovereignty, at least that to Indian sovereignty. In response, India gives an answer strategic, and the answer is the launch of the Indra 2025 maneuvers, and Indra 2025 was launched with Russia. So India responds on the military terrain as if to say, if it is economic cooperation that you angry, we go beyond the economic cooperation. We are going into a downright military cooperation. So it is India responds on the military front to the financial humiliation imposed by Washington, because obviously Washington had wanted to humiliate India. But what India is doing, it is also another form of humiliation that India is inflicting on Washington. And so what needs to be said at this level, it's that these exercises that are happening in Mahajan, Rajasthan, become the clearest message sent to the White House. India don't break with Moscow. She's okay with it, rather brings us closer. That is to say, the struggle that Washington was waging was to make India move away from Moscow. But Moscow, India is not in the process to move away from Moscow and never move away from Moscow. On the contrary, India is only going to get closer to Moscow through cooperation unexpected, such as what happens. This is the Indra exercise of 2025. So it must be said that these are maneuvers aimed at politics, since officially these are maneuvers of counter-terrorism. And the Indra exercises serve the diplomatic platform. They serve as platform, I was going to say diplomatic, to affirm the unity of Moscow and Nedi. So this exercise is used for, how are we going to say it, to affirm the unity of Russia and India, as if to say that America cannot nothing, no matter if America wants to take any type of sanction that America takes, but it cannot not walk. Both will stay always together. So it's a historic alliance which has been strengthened since the 1960s. The Russia is the main supplier arms from India. Despite threats American, this link remains intact, strategic and vital. So on the other side, India is in sending a message from sovereignty. India, which is under pressure from United States. New Delhi chooses autonomy strategic. Cooperate with all but submit to person. This is the voice that India chooses. And so it is a demonstration of force against Western hegemony, more than since Washington is in losing control of the pivot Asian. And when we talk about Asia, we must take India into account. There you have it. India plays a very big role. And so by punishing India for these purchases, Russian energy, the United States has weakened their own influence by Asia. Here are ladies, young ladies and gentlemen, what is happening unfold. Thank you for sharing the conference at most. I'll get back to you soon with news. It was, of course, the voice of your humble servant, the Samurai.